Hey everyone, Robb from Roll, and today I'm going to talk about how I did in the local Shadespire Tournament, made up of 8 players, at which I placed second. I'm going to run you through kind of what I did, what I would do differently, what my strategy going in against each of the different warbands I played was, and just kind of any takeaways I have from it. So first up, like I said, there were 8 players, pretty well represented. We had 1 Bloodbound, 3 Skeletons, 2 Stormcast, and 2 Orruks. The structure was 3 rounds, and each round was just a single game, so winner take all in the one game. And I got matched up in order against the other Orruks player, a Skeletons player, and a Stormcast player. So I've yet to play Bloodbound, and I really want to play Bloodbound against Bloodbound as Orruks. So the Orruk versus Orruk game, I ended up losing 8 honor to 9, and I'll get to why there's some disappointment in my voice there. It was a really good game. I had some missteps early on, but I was able to recover. I had some good objectives at the very end, but I ended up coming up short. I basically had to play the runaround game. I had Haka left, and he had Gurzag and Haka, and a nice sidestep ploy I had in my card allowed me to get just out of range in the 3rd activation and keep Haka alive, which allowed me to score Conquest and Swift Advance. So the reason why I'm a little unhappy about this is really one of my opponent's honor came from a successful daylight robbery. So they took one of my honor, and had that failed, or had they not had that card, I would have won 9-8. But you know what? That's the game. It was a good game. Great guy I played against. And it made me unhappy that I had just teched daylight robbery out of my deck. So I think daylight robbery might be going back in. I have to play around a little bit more and see what I'm going to do with that. So good game there. Lost by 1 honor. Wasn't too upset about it, but I was going into the next game against Skeletons with a little bit more confidence, because that's where a lot of my my experience with Orruks has been against Skeletons. That game was also pretty close. I ended up eking out the win 12-10, and my strategy was the same as always. It was running into smash skulls, running into smash skulls, you know, charge, charge, charge. If I don't need to make a charge, make an attack and charge again. And that game, I also, towards the end I was down 1. I think as we entered the final end phase where we scored our objectives, I was down, I want to say it was 10-9, and then I had Swift Advance and Conquest there. Again, Conquest, you're going to find out, is one of my favorite objective cards now. So I was able to eke out the win 12-10. That was another good game against another good player. And then my final game was against the Stormcast, and this is my first time playing against the Stormcast as Orruks, and it was interesting. I pulled off quite the feat on my first activation. The Stormcast had gone first for activating, and he decided to have Oberyn charge Gurzag. That charge didn't go through. Gurzag sustained no damage, so on my activation I made an attack. Went through, 3 damage to Oberyn. And then I played Having a Good Time, which is the Orruk ploy, where if I roll a damage die and I get hammers or a crit, then I can make another attack. And I did, and that went through. And Oberyn died. So, unfortunately for Oberyn, on my very first activation, he was out of the game, and I had some early honor. My opponent was actually pretty good. They were able to come back towards the end, and the final score was 8-6. And mostly ended up me playing kind of a similar game towards the end as I did with my against the Orruk player, where Steelheart and Angered were able to take care of Bonecutta, Gurzag, and Basha, but not before Steelheart was taken out. And then that game ended. They had 6 honor, I had 5, but I had Conquest yet again, with Basha safely on their board away from Angered. And I had, what is it called? Get the Boss. So I had taken a Steelheart in that preceding action phase, so I got the honor there. So all close games, all really good. The Orruk player that I had originally lost to ended up going to the finals 2-0 versus the other Stormcast player 2-0. That game was pretty close. It actually ended 8-8. And interestingly enough, on the 3rd activation of the 2nd phase, all of the Orruks were off the board. So basically for an entire half of the game, there were no Orruks on the board, but thanks to some great objective play by the Orruk player, they were able to score 6 in the 3rd end phase. And unfortunately, though, the tiebreaker went to the Stormcast because they had people on the board and the Orruks didn't. So great games there. Just based on honor gained, I ended up placing ahead of that Orruk player that beat me, just because I had scored more in my 2nd game than they had apparently. So I got 2nd place. So not bad. So cards I'm digging and cards I'm not digging. Let's start with ploys, or ploys and upgrades. So for ploys and upgrades, I'm really liking Demonic Weapon, especially on Hacker or Basher early on. You know, it gives them the 3 damage. They can do some serious stuff with that, and the fact they activate right afterwards isn't bad. If you need to be doing some 2 damage against, against people that are heavy hitting as well. So, if you take the 1 and then they go down to, 1 health left, someone hits them for 2, then they're already activated or inspired, so that way they can make their inspired attack. Having a good time. Out of the 3 games I played, I activated twice. Once was a first turn activation kill against Oberyn. Another turn, I think, saw me kill a skeleton in the game against the Spiritual Guard. And lastly, I'm really liking leading by example. That came in huge in the game against the Undead as well, because Grizzegg was able to charge, cut someone down, and then I think Bonehacker was able to charge. I don't remember if he got the kill or not, but he was able to do something there. So I'm really liking those cards. On the other side, as far as upgrades and ploys I don't like, there's only really 1 card I think I want to switch out, and that's Headbutt. I never had it on Grizzegg. I never found a good need for it, and for those who aren't familiar, it's a 1 hex attack, 2 damage dice looking for hammers, and does 2 damage, and it succeeds, the target can't be activated for the rest of the phase. So basically it's as if they charged even if they didn't. I never had it on him at the right time. I only ever got it on him late game, and I would have had to have charged with him when I could be doing his normal attack for 3 damage and re-rolling 1 to potentially take someone out. So I never found it to be right place, right time. I think if I got that on him early on, I could do something with it, but I just never did. So I'm going to be looking for an upgrade card to replace that one. And I'm going to be fishing through some of my employees as well, because I might be throwing Daylight Robbery back in. As far as objectives go, I'm really digging Conquest. That is such an easy thing to score, and that literally won me the games in my 2nd and 3rd game, because that's what put me ahead by 2. Swift Advance, the same thing. Drawing that in the 3rd phase along with Conquest, or getting it early on, even if I'm really charging up there. That's an easy honor for me as well. I'm not going for objectives, I'm going for kills, and that's where the enemies are. And Playmaster. I really like getting Playmaster in my opening hand and drawing 3 ploy cards that I can play that aren't necessarily reactions, or reactions that are easy to come by. And sometimes I'll throw away a decent ploy that may or may not see use later on just to get that honor, because getting a crucial upgrade on, like the Mountain Weapon, can be huge. So I'm really digging Playmaster. To a lesser degree, I'm also liking Too Dumb to Die. That's where you take 3 damage. That also helped me against the Stormcast in the last game. Get the boss, kill the enemy leader. I only don't like that against the Spiritual Guard, because I'm never able to kill the Warden. Every person I've played against that's played Undead keeps them pretty protected. And lastly, Crushing Force. That's dealing enough damage to do twice over the amount of damage needed to kill someone. So if they have 1 health left and you do 2 or more, you score that. And shout out to the Stormcast player. I forgot to play that right away. It wasn't until an activation or 2 later that I remembered, and they still let me score it. So thank you very much. As far as cards, I'm not digging. There's no objectives I'm not digging. I actually like all the objectives. But surprisingly, I didn't get Call of the Wog in any of my 3 games. And by that, I mean I didn't score it. I had it in my hand, but while I've been able to do this in my previous games to this tournament, I get Call of the Wog done pretty easily. I never had a situation, I think that's probably one of the good things about going to this tournament and playing against different people than the one person I've played against, is they play in a way where I can't rely on 3 charges right out the gate, or 3 charges on my 2nd activation, or 3 charges aren't wise. So that card, I think I'm keeping in for now, just because that is a good first turn objective in my opinion, especially with good board placement. But it didn't really pull through for me this time. So overall, what am I doing? What am I doing differently? Headbutt's coming out. I need to find an equipment to replace that. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet, so I'm going to be digging through my cards. Call of the Wog is staying in there. I don't think I'm going to mess with my objectives quite yet. They did me well, and I only really lost that first game because of Daylight Robbery. So I don't think there's anything really wrong there. I might be trying to put in Daylight Robbery back. It would have actually helped me a lot in all of these games, and the reason I had taken it out was because of its inability to really pull through for me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Again, I think with Orruks, the strategy is still charge, 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 charge. I don't think there's a better way to play them at the moment, especially when you play against someone that's very objective-driven. If you wait for them to go to the objective and you push them off of it, there's usually not a whole lot they can do. So I think placing all of your objectives way behind you. That's what I do whenever I'm placing. Put them way at the back of my board, have my fighters way up front, make the enemy come to me, which just makes them killing easier. That's about it. Not super complicated. I'm looking forward to playing against more people, and I'm looking forward to more events and tournaments that I can compete in and see how I'm doing, stay current with the meta, see as the meta evolves. And I really like to play a Bloodbound player, so if there are any Bloodbound players in kind of the south of Boston area, let me know. I'd love to try my Orruks against you. And I also like to try Khorne again. I've played one game as them against Stormcast with just the default deck, but I think I'm going to give them another shot. I have to see if there's anything coming up, because I think I'm going to stick with Orruks for tournament play. But I do want to give the Bloodbound another shot, because I think people are really underrating them and not giving them the chance they need. Without that, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll be posting my deck list in the description below, so you can check it out. And if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. I've been Robb from Ready to Roll, and I'll catch you guys next time.